What's up guys, Rob at Optimal Bodies. Now this is part 2 of the 3-part series on the Carb Nite diet. So it's not a diet I've invented myself, I've put my own little tweaks on it, but basically it's a guy called John Kiefer, and you can look him up, he does a lot of cool things, and I get a lot of information from him, very clever guy. But basically it's a high fat, ultra low carb diet with periodic refeeds of carbohydrates, as you'll see, in order to keep your health, metabolism and fat loss and muscle building or maintenance, depending on your goals, at the optimal level. So, and it's a great way of keeping you satiated and full, as I've spoke about in the last video, and also making it fun and sociable and something realistic that you can actually stick to for very long periods of time, and a great healthy way of eating. So I'm going to introduce my trusty friend, a new friend, the whiteboard. So someone highly recommended me getting one of these, as a lot of information gets put out in my videos and it's nice to have a visual reference point as well. So thanks for that, and he knows who he is. So we're just going to go over the shopping list that we did last week, and I've put it in writing form on here, as you can see. So these are the sort of foods you will have been eating for the past 7 to 10 days if you're doing the Carb Nite diet. I recommend a 10-day starting period. So you'll have had things like eggs, cheeses, your meats, so bacon, sausages, chicken, lamb, turkey, those sort of things, beef. Cooking in coconut oil or butter, or perhaps you've tried it in a warm drink or something like that, or just on its own, keep you satiated. You've got your fish, avocados, maybe you've had a protein shake as convenience, or if you've had it after the gym, if you're doing some sort of resistance training. And you've got cream, nuts, very low carb cottage cheese, and you might have packed your meals out with some vegetables, salads, and we spoke of that before. Like, it's not highly necessary, but it might be something you've included. So here's your nice list. You can, if you want this as more visual, you can pause this video and write this down, and it just helps add from an aid to the last video. So what do we do now after 7 to 10 days of eating a high fat, ultra low carb diet? Well, what happens is your metabolism slowly adapts to any diet that you're on. Otherwise, your body would just carry on losing weight, dropping down, and you'd waste away, and that's not very good for our survival. So your body quickly recognises that you might be in a calorie deficit or an energy deficit, and it starts to lower your metabolism. It gets harder and harder to burn fat. That's where most of us end up giving up. We end up binging and just completely sacking off the diet. But this way I'm going to show you is a great way of keeping it sociable, and I think highly it's good for your psychological and your mental state, because you get to look forward to this carb night or this treat night period of eating, introducing carbohydrates again. And it's also great once you've done that, sometimes you might feel a little bit guilty, but you shouldn't, as I'm going to tell you the high benefits of doing that. But it actually increases your fullness, so you're not hungry for quite a while. You get this satiety signal from this higher leptin level I'm going to speak of. And also it gives you motivation to get back onto eating these sort of foods, these ones that we've been putting on our shopping list. So, but it also keeps you sociable. So what we're going to do. So as I said, your metabolism slowly lowers. So your leptin level and your thyroid, which is very important for your metabolism and your fat loss, that starts to lower, and that's normal, that's fine. So what we want to do is we want to kickstart that fat burning again. So how are we going to do that? So we should have done 10 days. Should have done 10 days, no carbs. So what do we do after that? So that's point 1. So point 2. This is where we're going to reintroduce some carbohydrates, but use them as beneficial. And the main purpose of doing this, it's not the quantity, so the amount of carbohydrates that you're going to eat in this period, it's the quality of the insulin spike. So carbohydrates are renowned and really good at spiking insulin levels, which you shouldn't be spiking all day on and off. We want them periodically at the correct times to essentially tell your body that you're in an energy surplus. So you've got lots of energy on board in your body, and so you can ramp up metabolism again and get fat burning going again. So, on the 10th day, we get carbs. So you should be very happy about that. So I want you to reintroduce carbohydrates into your diet, and this is going to be around, we'll say about 3 or 4 p.m. on that 10th day. So you may have had 1 or 2 meals high fat, low carb in the morning, but then you're gonna, in the afternoon towards the night, you can reintroduce carbs. So, and this is going to be for around a 6 to 8 hour period. So you're not completely binging from morning to night or a full weekend. It's a nice controlled 6 to 8 hour period of eating carbohydrates. And that doesn't mean you start your 6 to 8 hour period and you go non-stop for 6 to 8 hour period. It means you're going to keep your insulin levels raised for that period. So this might include 2 or 3 meals. So 2 or 3 meals, so you might break it about 2, 3, 4, 5 p.m, something like that. Everyone's sort of different, and as long as you keep it in that 6 to 8 hour window, it doesn't necessarily matter when you start, as long as your finish time is not going into past 6 to 8 hours. And the main reason for this is you've gone ultra low carb, you've down-regulated an enzyme called fatty acid synthase, and just to be basic, that is the carb, that is what enzyme is used to store carbs as fat, so storing carbohydrates as fat, which we want to highly avoid. So by going that long without carbohydrates, your body stops producing this enzyme, and it makes it very hard to, when you introduce carbs, to actually store them as fat. Plus, you really depleted, your muscles store carbs and your liver store carbs as glycogen. So these fuel tanks, if you will, these are about to get filled up, so you've got a lot of room to put the carbohydrates somewhere before they can get stored as fat. So that's basically how the diet works, so you can be safe. So 2 or 3 meals. I recommend first meal, have whatever you've been craving. So you probably have some sort of cravings. You might have your favourite treats that you've cut out. It might be like that little pack of sweets or chocolate bar, or maybe even a bag of crisps or something more savoury. You might go for that, or even just a sandwich, something really basic that we take for granted. I'd go for that for something for your first meal. So you're kicking it off with a treat for your first meal. Then you might wait a couple of hours something, and then you might time it in where you've got a social event, your friends want to go out for an evening meal, or you want to go out with your partner, or someone's making some food around at their house, something like that. A nice warm main proper meal, and it might include some so we want high glycemic carbohydrates. That's where we're going to get this high insulin spike. Tell your body you're in an energy surplus. That's the most important thing, the insulin spike, not the amount of carbs. So I might keep repeating that, but it is really important. So you want to go for things like white bread, white potatoes, like oven chips, things of that nature, something you see more as a treat, or if you're going for your desserts like cookies or cheesecake, donuts, things like that. These things, that's why this is a great fun period where you can put the foods in you really enjoy, and things you think are actually really bad, but because you haven't had them for so long, it's a tiny percent of your week that you're just introducing these foods. Pizza seems to work really well. Things like that, mashed potato. So you can have that for your sort of second main meal. Go out for a pizza, or if it's might be steak and chips or anything like that. And then for your third meal, you might, if you're at a restaurant or something, or someone's making a meal, often there's a dessert. You can have that and really enjoy it. Then you've got a nice, probably stretch out a nice 6 to 8 hour window where your insulin levels are raised, and you've got 2 or 3 meals, and trust me, you get full really quick, so it's hard to overeat. I recommend not trying to binge and force things down. You feel sick, listen to your body. You will feel satisfied very quickly. Maybe just from your first meal, but then you might wait a couple of hours and have another meal. Don't just stuff your face for the sake of it. Pick the good quality foods, so these high insulin spiking foods that are going to reset your metabolism. So we will get an insulin spike, which then increases your leptin level, telling your body you're in an energy surplus, signals your brain to increase the thyroid hormone, and your metabolism. So we get around a 4 to 5 day increase in fat burning. So fat burning is usually raised for about 4 to 5 days after this period, which is great. So that's why after this, you go 7 days no carbs, then on the 7th day we reintroduce carbs again. So it becomes a once a week carb night, as you might call it, or I call it the refeed or your treat night, something like that. Not all day, so we need to highly explain that. So you're going for this 6 to 8 hour period. So it becomes, so you do 10 days and then you continue that once a week, and the fat loss should start to drop down. So you go after you've had that meal, the day after you'll go 7 days back on your ultra low carb diet. I wouldn't, if you say you've got something timed in that might be 5 or 6 days after, then it doesn't have to be bang on 7 days. You want to go at least 5 days. So as long as there's at least 5 full days between the feedings, it can work very well, and that can be something you can tweak, because we need 5 days for them stored carbs to get depleted again, so we've got somewhere for them to go. And also we need that fatty acid synthase, the carb to fat storing enzyme, to drop back down so that you get less chance of storing fat on that night. So it is very hard, as I spoke of, to store fat on that night. So don't worry about thinking, oh, I'm going to get really fat. If you're eating until you're satisfied, you're eating some nice high insulin spiking foods, so like cookies, donuts, pizza, chips, mashed potatoes, white rice works really well. The stickier the better, so the longer you cook it, if you want to go for something a little bit cleaner. But I think you should use this period of having your treats and not feeling guilty and knowing it's going to benefit your health and your fat loss. If you look at it, it might be 90 to 98% of your week you're very low carb, and that end like 5, 10 maximum percent of your diet for the week is actually carbohydrates. So don't feel guilty of having these sort of treats in your diet. You've earned them. So monitor your weight, monitor your image, see what's happening. A good sign that the carb night have worked really well. Usually one of the signs is elevated body temperature. You might get warm, you might get slight dry mouth, so get some water in if you're dehydrated, obviously. But if you're lean enough to sort of see veins and things, they start to come out, so you get increased vascularity. You usually get very sleepy. Some people like you're happy, relaxed, and you really sleep well the next day. Sometimes you get a bit groggy the next day, is known as the carbohydrate hangover, something like that. Completely normal, don't worry about that, it does wear off very quickly. So them sort of signs means you've had a high insulin level and you've spiked your metabolism. So hopefully this isn't too much information, but basically this is going to be your refeed, and the main reason is we're trying to just get your fat loss going again, and we're using treats and keeping it sociable and making it fun and a natural sustainable diet that you can do for a long period of time. So part 3, hopefully if this gets enough attention and people want to hear more, part 3 is going to be how you can make minor tweaks and things that are personal to you to make the diet again more personal to you. So if you get some sort of sticking point and you've been trying this, I'm going to give you some tips on what to do during the week and during your actual carb night and your feeding. Minor tweaks that you can do to keep it effective, because as you get leaner it becomes harder to get even leaner. Your body recognises this, your metabolism actually gets even lower just at rest, and then it gets harder to bring it back up. So there might be things like you need more refeeds more sooner than 4 or 5 days or up to a week. But we'll talk about in the next video and how to make it personal to you. So thanks for listening, guys. Please like and share my page, Optimal Bodies. Sponsored by Damn Fitness. Cheers for the best, guys. Check them out on Facebook on their website. You can quote Rob10 and get 10% off some decent gym clothing. So please tune in for part 3, which should be filmed sometime next week, and then you can put all the 3 parts together, watch them back, get an idea, and if it's overcomplicated, just drop me a message on Facebook or on my YouTube channel, and I'll try and get back to you and hopefully explain it. So cheers for listening, guys. Cheers.